Hey nail sisters, welcome if you're new here or welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how to apply your press-ons without glue. Although I do feel like the glue, like the KDS, it definitely holds up very strong, but there is an alternative where they have the gel form. It is similar to the glue, but it is a gel where you can actually cure that. So this is what I'm going to be sharing with you. Now I'm starting off with a 180 grit, or you can use a medium grit file to actually shape and contour the cuticle area for the press-ons to fit properly and look seamlessly. So I am going to file the sides, the middle, so that I can get rid of the plastic part. Now, some of the tips definitely come without the plastic part, but I feel like this to me is the customization part. You know, I like to do this particularly because I'm showing here how now you want to kind of size and fit to see which one actually fits each nail. Anything that is hanging off and touching your skin is too big. Anything that's not covering the surface area, and I'll show you again, is going to be too small. Now, for some of the tips, I have to go a little bit bigger because if I go too small, it's going to be too tight and it is going to pop off and lift. So what you want to do is basically file the sides and the perimeter and the cuticle area so that it actually fits. Sometimes you can even feel it, how it fits when it slides on. If it slides really easily, you can see this one actually fits, but there is a little that's hanging off, so I would file that off. But if you place this on here, you can definitely tell that this isn't going to fit. It's not covering the whole surface nail plate. And you can see here how this one is definitely hanging off. You can see that that covers my whole skin and my nail plate. So that's not what you want. This is actually too big. So again, this is the part to me where I feel like this is where, you know, you customize. You want it to fit sidewall to sidewalls. And now I'm going in and kind of taking off the top part. This to me is so important because it helps it to lay more flat at the top area, especially with the tips. You want it to look very like it's basically growing off your natural nails. Now I'm going in and actually etching the inside of the tips. This is to remove the shine. Again, we're removing all the shine, the oil, the dust, so that way all of these products can actually work properly like they're intended to. And another thing that I want to point out is if you have to force down your tip, that is way too small. One thing that I definitely want to point out is that depending on the tips and the shapes that you actually use, all of the tips are different. So if you have short, square, pointed, stilettos, almond shape, all of these are going to be different sizes. So what size you may be in the square tips may not be the same what you may be in the almond. And this is kind of what I messed up in this video, is that I chose the same size as my coffin shapes, and some of them looked a little bit too wide. So just keep that in mind when you are doing this. And every brand will slightly vary. Like you may get some brands, and these tips are from a brand called KOKIST, I believe, but I'll leave a link. And they do vary from other brands that I have actually tried. So definitely keep that in mind and just take your time. Like I said, you know, you can kind of feel when that tip fits properly. You know, it's going to fit from one side to the other. And even that cuticle area, like I said, you can shape it to your cuticle because, again, everybody's fingers are different. Basically, definitely keep that in mind when you're doing it. And you definitely want to pay attention to the shape of your cuticle, your sidewalls, your nails, and your actual fingernails. And always check that tip from various angles. So from the front view, and turn your hand the opposite direction so you can actually get a clear view. The next thing you want to go do is to go in with a dehydrator and a primer. So the dehydrator is going to help to remove any oils. The primer is going to help the products bond better. I'm going in with this protein bond. I am going to use 2 coats. Now let each layer dry. If you have a liquid primer, if you have a gel primer, then you can cure that for 60 seconds. And you want to make sure that you're being very light with this. Like, more is less. Less is more. You don't want to use a whole lot of this because it can have an adverse reaction to where it's not going to actually adhere properly. You would apply the dehydrator on your natural nails first, then the tip, then you would apply the primer on your natural nails and on the tip. So now you want to go in with a base coat on your natural nails after you have done that. And then you want to cure that for 60 seconds. Then you want to go in with a tip glue. Now I am using a gel form by DND. I will pop up another suggestion that you can use for your tips. When you apply this, you want to not apply a lot. You know, a lot of these products, you don't necessarily need to apply a lot for it to actually work. You want to also stop when you apply this gel. You want to stop at where your sidewalls is, where it ends is where you want that gel to actually stop when you apply it. So you don't want to be pushing it down, because then you're going to have excess gel that's just flowing all over the place and down. So you want to kind of measure it with your eyes, and you can even feel how much you're actually putting on it the longer that you keep doing this. Now, another thing that I will say is each layer I am curing it for 60 seconds. What I like to do is kind of go in, and when I go in, I make sure that everything is still lined up. If I feel like anything has shifted, I'm going to take it out and go ahead and readjust it before it cures, because if you leave it that way, it may come out like crooked. One tip may be leaning to the side. So when you actually apply these tips, just make sure that you are you'll see here, I'm lining it up with my cuticles, my sidewalls, and you want to kind of do this at an angle. You don't want to necessarily lay it flat like you would a regular press one when you're using this gel. It works totally different than the actual glue, and you want to kind of slowly let that gel start flowing downward, holding the tip at a downward direction, holding your finger down so that the gel kind of flows down. Now, if you do have excess that spills out, just make sure to clean that up with a cleanup brush and alcohol before it starts curing. Make sure that it doesn't touch your skin. So when you align it with the cuticle, you want it to you want it to be close to your cuticle. If you don't push it up enough close to your cuticle or line it up, then it will look like you need a feel. So just make sure that you have it close enough, but it's not touching the skin. I am using a UV LED combination lamp. Usually with this gel, you need a lamp that is that combination, and then you would cure each nail for 60 seconds. Now, I do see some people using top coat to apply these press-ons with, but if you want your press-ons to last a month, I wouldn't suggest using top coat because it's not intended for that. So it's better to use like this tip gel so that it has the consistency to be able to cure properly. And like I said, because top coat is not intended for you to use it as a bonder to actually apply the tips. That's not what it's intended for. So it's not probably going to last. Now, if your finger gets tired where you're holding it, you can use your thumb to try to hold the tip as well. But just kind of move your thumb out the way so that that light can still penetrate through the gel layer and properly cure. So that way one side you won't have uncured gel, and then one side you have cured gel. We don't want, around here we want all cured gel properly. We don't want no adverse reactions or allergic reactions. So just make sure that you're doing that. Next, I'm going in with a medium grit file, and this is the time when I'm going to file anything that is sticking out. Now, you want to use the side of your file that's not the coarse side, because, and I'll tell you why in a second, but what you want to do is anything that is sticking out or hanging out, this is the time when you want to go ahead and line that up with your sidewalls and start filing it inward. And again, you don't want to use a tip that is too small, because if you all of these tips are made out of plastic, and anybody that tells you different, like, oh, we sell the most sturdiest, hard like tips, all of these tips can crack, break, all of that. So if you use a tip that is too small and you start filing, you're going to basically take away a lot of that tip area, surface area. So then at that point, it's like when you apply any type of product, whether that's acrylic, whether that's builder gel, soft gel, any of that stuff is not going to, you're going to have a crack or a break right in that area. Okay, so back to the shape. So I left like my index finger, I'm going to do like an oval shape. And then like the ring and the pinky, I'm going to do a almond shape. And the reason why I'm doing this, because I want to show you the difference. So when you're doing like a oval shape, it's more going like at a slanted, I'm holding my file at a slant angle, going like straight, and then I'll start to bring it inward. When you're doing, now it really is your preference. So with almond shape, I feel like there's like, I see two different shapes. So with almond shape, you can have it looking more like a stiletto, where it is slim at the top area, and then it becomes like really, well, it's like wide at the body part, and then it becomes very pointy at the bottom part. So basically it starts to look like a stiletto. And the way that you angle your file is and I'm just showing there how you want to make sure that you get any of that excess tip area and bring it inward so that it can align with your sidewalls. And basically I was saying if you wanted to look like a stiletto, you would hold it at a certain angle like this, and then you would start to slightly slant it so that it becomes pointy. Now in almond, I'll show you on the other finger how that actually looks. And you want to make sure to pull the skin back when you're filing. You don't also want to keep focusing on one side, because if you file too much on one side, it can change the shape, and one side can lean to the other side. So you can't stay on one side. You gotta like move around. If you have to do a 1-2 step in your head, like 1, 2, 3, and then move to the other side, like a dance, then do that, because it will start changing this shape. Also, when it comes to filing, like the nail shape, your fingers, the cuticle, your hands, all of that is different. And you have to look at all those parameters when you're sizing and shaping the nails, because every finger is definitely different. You may have some fingers that are long, short, small. So you definitely have to look at all of that, because how you file it on one nail may be different on a different one. So definitely look at that. And like I mentioned, here I'm going to kind of show you the almond shape and show you how to do that. So think of almond shape just like almonds that you eat, but it has a softer point than a stiletto, because of course the stiletto is more sharp, like razor sharp. And when you're filing, make sure that you hold the nail. Do you see how I'm holding? Because you don't want to be feeling all that vibration, and that's just not a good feeling, especially if you do this on other people as well. Next, I'm going in with this ceramic tapered bit. It is a medium grit. I do feel like when you use like for pressed ones, you don't necessarily need a medium. You could definitely use a fine, because if your pressure is way too hard, and especially like I said with these sulfur tips, if you stay on one side with your bit, it can start to eat away that tip like material, because it is plastic. So I think a fine bit would definitely do the job. What I like to use this bit for is to seal the cuticle. I like to kind of remove some of that cuticle that I missed during prepping. I also like to, like I said, blend it, remove any excess gel that may have spilt over. I also like to use it to kind of taper the sides in with the shape. So basically, I feel like this is a multi-purpose bit, and I will definitely leave this as well. Now, another thing that I will want to say is when you're using your, now if you are not comfortable using a e-file, definitely don't use one. Wait until you are trained and, you know, you get educated on that, because it can damage your nails if you don't know how to actually use it. You can definitely use this. You could definitely use a file, the same file that I told you guys. But just go up, I would say like a 200, and kind of just lightly go around the cuticle area with that. You definitely want to use light pressure when you're actually doing this. And like I said, I also kind of remove any excess dead skin. Now in this video, I didn't show me prepping my natural nails, because I feel like this video would definitely be 2 hours long, and I know nobody wants to sit through a 2-hour like video, so that would be a whole different video for me to actually do for you all. So here I'm just going in and using this bits. And another, when you start to see that there's like a buildup of like dust and cuticle, you want to dust all that off so you can still be able to see. You don't want to be working with your e-file and you can't even see what you're doing. You want to always be able to see where you are, and you want to be able to see like at all times what you're doing. So dust everything off and then continue to do what you need. Next, I'm going in with a medium grit bit and sanding band. I am going to remove the shine. You can definitely do this with your file. Again, the same file, and basically remove the shine so that the gel polish can actually stay and stick better. Because if you have like a slippery surface, it's not going to actually last long. It may start peeling and chipping. So we want to get that surface area ready. When you're doing nails, basically everything to me is prepping, you know, properly so that all of these products can actually last longer, and you're not actually, you know, using so much product so that the products can work properly. So, and basically you want to use your sanding band. Don't go back and forth. Like, it may look like I'm going back and forth, but you want to lift your bit up. So I'll show you in a second that when you use your bit, you want it to always stay parallel with the nail, so flat with the nail, and you want to go from, you don't want to use the bit like back and forth. So you want to like lift up as you're doing it, and you don't want to drag the bit. So you want to always keep moving that bit, because it can heat up really quick and cause friction, and definitely can lead to damage as well. So you'll see here, it does look like I'm going back and forth, but I'm basically, when I get to the end of the nail, I'm going to pull it back towards me. I don't want to say pull, but lift the bit towards myself. And basically this kind of helps to eliminate, I shouldn't say eliminate, but it reduces that chance of it getting hot. So now I'm going in, and I also like to shape these tips using the sanding band. You can still use your e-file to kind of contour again and just shape it into place. When you're using any of these bits, especially when you're using for press-ons, even Gel X, because you don't have structure, like, and when I say structure, I mean like a product such as acrylic on top, you want to be very gentle. And that's why I say I think a fine bit would be a little bit better when it comes to going around the cuticle, because if you file off too much, there is a thing of over filing, and the bit will basically just eat away the tip. So next I'm going in with a buffer, and I'm going to remove any scratches that maybe the e-file has done. You can also go around as well to go around any area to remove any glue that you may have missed. Just be careful when you're using the buffer, especially depending on the shape, because it can change the shape if you're not very light-handed, And make sure to also hold the nail. You can see I'm holding it very tight because I don't want to feel all that pressure and vibration, because I'm sure you know when you go get your nails done, I'm sure you have probably felt somebody use this buffer real hard and going all crazy all over the nail and going fast, and it's just not a good feeling. So make sure to hold the nail very tight. You can also use your file to remove the shine as well, like I mentioned. And after this, I'm going to dust everything off and then go in with the polish. Now I'm going in and using D&D. This is a nude shade. You all have seen this color on my channel. I will leave a link of the video where I did a swatch review for this color. And this is one coat that I'm starting off with. Then I will cure that for 60 seconds. Then I will go back in with a second coat and I will cure that for another 60 seconds. And I'm making sure to apply my coats very thin. You don't want to apply any gel products too thick, because gel is meant to basically build your way up. That even goes for the tip gel itself. You can build it, so you don't want to use a lot. And then also when you're polishing, especially when it comes to almond shapes, make sure not to put too much on like the sides, because we want to keep the shape of almonds. It's very easy to change the shape when it comes to gel, and especially if you are applying it way too thick. So just keep this in mind as well. This is how the nails look. And then next I'm going to go in with my McCart 7mm brush. I will leave a discount code for you all to use for any orders on McCart website. And I am using a white gel polish. Now on this first nail, I'm going to do similar to a slanted French design. And then the other nails you'll see, they will have the French design as well with the rhinestones. One thing I forgot to mention in the beginning of the video, when you're actually applying the gel to the press on, make sure that you coat the nail very well. This will actually help to avoid air bubbles, which can create pockets between your natural nail and the press on itself. And then if air gets in between the gel and your nails, it definitely will be popping off. So make sure that you are coating those sidewalls very well. You're covering the tip in those areas. And then even when you're applying your base coat on your natural nails, make sure that you don't leave any areas like exposed without product. Like I said, this definitely will contribute to some of the peeling, chipping, cracking as well. The other nail, I am doing the French, and again, I am using the white gel polish. If anyone struggles with trying to like find their tip size or anything like that when it comes to using press on full cover tips or anything, just let me know in the comments. I can definitely create a different video, going into depth about that. Because I feel like the right size, especially when it comes to different shapes, makes all the difference in the world when it comes to actually applying it with the gel. Specifically with the gel, because again, like I said, everyone's finger, nails, like cuticle, all that is definitely different, and it will vary even with, like I said, the sizing. And even like I said in this video, I ended up making the mistake of like choosing the same size as the square tips. So they will look a little weird, especially like I said, if you don't choose your correct sizing, and definitely knowing how to pick them. Now I'm going in and I'm mixing, this is the Madam Glam gel polish. The Food Coma is the name. It was like a light beige. I did do a video about this swatch. I'm mixing it with white and also a sheer color so that I can create this lighter shade. I wanted it to kind of appear a little bit on the lighter, like in the same family as like a nude shade. And then the last one is supposed to be a beige. This shade is the like OPI. Do you take Leeway? And I mixed it with white. Is supposed to be like a beige color, but I didn't add enough of the OPI color, and I am mixing this. Now I didn't mix this one with sheer, but I did mix the Food Coma with the sheer. So I'm gonna let you all finish watching, and then I'll come back. Now I'm going in with these rhinestones. I did do a video on this as well in my AliExpress haul, and I'm using a wax pen, which I got off of Amazon. I will link everything down in my description. I'm also going in with this gel rhinestone. This is the one by Macart. I am trying a different rhinestone gel just to kind of see and compare the difference, so that I can kind of give my feedback. I heard that this one holds as well, but I love using the one that I got from my local nail supply. But I'm gonna let you all know how this holds up. I am doing, you want to, when you use like the gel from rhinestones, you want to use the gel very light. When I first started out learning how to use the rhinestones, I used way too much, and then gel was just like all over the place, running everywhere. So a little does go a long way. And I know I've been saying this throughout my whole video, that a little product definitely goes a long way to get the job done. You don't need a lot to like for the product to actually work. So now I am like using the rhinestones, and I'm going to use them on the last 3 nails. The way also that I mentioned in one of my other videos, that you want to always clean off your wax stick, because I noticed that if gel begins to stick on there, or if it like kind of like if the air starts drying it to where it becomes very sticky and it stays there without you cleaning it, it will kind of like affect the look of the actual rhinestones. And another thing that I can kind of say when it comes to using rhinestones is that, you know, always kind of have in your mind the direction of how you want to actually kind of like decorate the nail, because you know, it's really not a certain way to do rhinestones. Like, you just kind of have to play around with them, be creative, and like I said, just kind of map it out if you need to lay it out first, and then kind of place it on the actual nail. I forgot to mention this, but I like to top coat all the nails first, and I did cure all the nails with the top coat for at least 60 seconds, the one by Madam Glam. Now, the reason why I like to do this before applying the rhinestones is it's kind of hard to go around the rhinestones with the top coat without actually kind of hitting the rhinestone with like the top coat, and it kind of will make it look a little blurry. But you can always clean it off with alcohol. But to me, it's just much more easier and simple to kind of just top coat everything, and then you're basically done at that point, you know, instead of trying to take your brush. And you see how like that index finger, like if I top coat it now, it kind of would be where I would have to lay that brush a certain way, like kind of slanted, and then it's just too much. So to me, I like to work smarter, not harder. I'm going to let you all finish watching the rest, and then I will come back. Now I'm going in with these caviar beads, the silver one. Again, I did do a AliExpress haul where I got this from AliExpress as well. And I'm going to go around any of the spaces and fill them in where it looks as though it looks empty, or like I said, if there's any spaces or gaps that I can actually fill them in. This is kind of where I want to go in with my caviar beads and fill those portions in. And this is how the nails have came out. I did put some cuticle oil, and for those of you who are subscribed, you are liking the videos, you are commenting, you're asking questions, I really do appreciate you. It is going to help grow my channel, and also, you know, there are things that I have in mind that I would like to do, so I'm not going to say yet, but you know, but thank you to all of you who are, like I said, watching, subscribing, liking, commenting. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions, definitely ask them. Let me know. If it's any other video that you know want to see or need help on, definitely let me know in the comments, and I'll see you all in my next video. And let me know if any of this information or content is useful to you in some kind of way, because this is definitely like a nail 101 class.